Well, hey everybody, thank you again for your help on the PSAT-NMSQT on Wednesday. We really appreciate it. I am going to be checking to make sure this screencast is still working from time to time because this is the third time it's shut off on me. So bear with me. A couple of quick things. Morning of test. Um, there is no morning meeting. You'll come from wherever you're coming from. It might be a PLC or a meeting. And if you have been assigned a green color on the staffing sheet, that means you're picking up standard time materials in the student cafeteria, which is right next to the staff caf. If you have the light blue color, you are in an accommodated room, and you are assigned to pick up your materials from room 2200, the tutorial room upstairs with Allison. Coffee and snacks will be provided in the staff cafe and will be there during the duration of testing, so sneak down and grab those as well. Safety, really, this is super simple. We are continuing that culture of care, and all expectations that we have for students during a normal school day exist during the test. So there are no changes to that. If you're having any issues with any behaviors, including mass, certainly let me know. During breaks, so students will break intermittently. They should have their mask on in the testing room. They can slip out for some water or a snack. Otherwise, the water and the snack should be under their desk during testing. We ask that students socially distance as best as possible when they're having a snack or having some water in the hallway. The restrooms will have a stanchion in the middle of the English hallway where the majority of our standard time rooms are, just to have kind of designated restrooms at each end of the hallway for students so we're not crowding there. And again, just a reminder, please do not ever leave the room with the testing materials and the students unattended, just so that we can ensure kind of the quality of those materials. Before testing, you can begin the pre-administrative tasks once all of your students are there or within 5 minutes of the start time. So technically, students can still enter your room within up until you start reading the directions for the actual first section of the test. The answer sheets, I would have those out on student desks prior to students checking in. We don't have our labels yet, so it's going to be TBD on Wednesday on how we're going to bubble in. So we will communicate that with you the morning of the test, and we've also laid it out here on kind of what you need to do. As students are checking in, they technically don't need their ID. If they're a Vernon Hills High School student, if you recognize them, they certainly don't. If you don't and you want to ask for their ID or you would like to look them up in PowerSchool, please do for an extra security, just making sure it's the right student sitting for the test. If we don't have labels, I would have one of you checking them in and then the other person walking them to that generic testing Scantron somewhere in the classroom. The students should never pick their seats for the NMSQT or for any College Board related test. If you have answer labels, then you can just say, hey, go find your answer label in your test and have a seat. Students should turn off their devices as soon as they enter. We are not collecting them. If you're in a smaller classroom or accommodated classroom with 1 student or 5 students, you can certainly have them power down and collect them. You are welcome to have all of your students put them in the cell phone caddy or the hotel and power down iPhone watches and put them there as well. So definitely use those tools to your advantage, or if you just want to ensure that they are off and away from students, that is great. They definitely cannot be on them during breaks, but we are not going to collect them or touch them on Wednesday. Pre-administrative tasks. So this is a little tricky again because we don't know if we're going to have labels in the next 48 hours. If we do not have labels, we will bubble in fields 1 through 14, which are simply student demographics. We are not doing the what class did you take last year and what are you interested in and what's your GPA. We're not doing any of that. It will just be the basic student demographics, fields 1 through 14. I want to note field 5 for everybody, even if we have labels, is super important, and that is, do you want to qualify for the NMSQT? They should answer yes. That is field 5 is really important that the students note yes if they're looking to qualify for scholarships and the national merit competition. Pre-administrative tasks. On the backside, so once you've done demographics, or if they have the label and nothing's wrong, they don't need to bubble anything other than 2 different fields that Suzanne noted in your cheat sheet, and that was noted in your script. For the back of the testing booklet, that's going to be the form code and the test ID, which go right here on the student Scantron. Field C, which unfortunately is on the Scantron, is the serial number. You can skip that. There are no serial numbers on the testing booklet for the NMSQT. And then, of course, the student room code and the certification statement. So Those are all on the back of the Scantron, and we as well have those in the script for you to fill out. Again, there is no serial number, which is on the front of the testing booklet. All right, let's make sure we're still rolling here. We are. Okay, awesome. Seating chart. Again, when you pass out the when you pass out the testing booklets, you are doing so in a serpentine kind of snaking manner. You should not go left or right. Since there are no serial numbers for this test, you're just writing down their initials as you distribute those tests. So you can have their IDs out on the test if that's easy. You can have their Scantron flipped to the side so you can clearly see their name, whatever makes this part fast and easiest for you to complete. Do so prior to testing, not at the end, not down in the room with us when you forgot to fill it out. Let's do this right when we pass those out if possible. During testing, just a couple quick reminders. Cheating is usually the one irregularity that we sometimes see, which is usually a student goes back to fill in bubbles after time was called right in the moment, or you saw Andy had done 35 questions and now suddenly 30 minutes later there's 40 and you were in a totally different section. So give an immediate verbal warning, acknowledge to that student what you've seen, note the time and the context of the situation. If it's a duration, like you continue to see it or they continue doing something, note that duration. And then one of you in the room should let Andy know as soon as possible. You do only need to have one person, one room supervisor in the room during testing. So you can text me. You can, if you want to have two in there, that's fine. One of you can come get me. You can alert a hallway person. But please don't disrupt the room over it. Let the rest of the students continue to test and let that student continue to test, and we will call College Board. If there's a fire alarm, God forbid, I might already have your attendance sheet, which is fine. You can turn those in if everybody's there right before you test or right during the middle of the first test. Someone can bring those down to me. If there's a fire alarm, I'll bring those with me. You should note the time that you tell students to stop. They should put their answer sheets in their testing booklet, close their testing booklet, and you should get them out of the room and out of the school. We've already talked about restrooms, but students should have designated ends to kind of use the restroom. Irregularities, the other one that we sometimes see is students are bubbling and they realize, oh my gosh, I put section 2 in section 3. So we will deal with that if we need to. Again, you just note the time, the duration, the conversation that you had, acknowledge it, and then you alert me as soon as possible. Start and stop times for accommodated and standard time testing happens in the manuals. Again, you are always noting when different sections of your test start and stop. After testing, you will dismiss by room. We're not going to wait and dismiss all at once, so make sure your students are silent and they exit the building. If they're waiting on buses, they can come to the foyer. Return materials to 1516 for standard time testing. For accommodated testing, you're going back to 2200, the tutorial room. Please have your used and unused answer sheets and testing booklets separated. Make sure that, again, the seating chart's complete. We'll deal with irregularities at that point, and then all of your other materials should be organized in your testing bin. One other thing that I just wanted to quickly note that Suzanne has laid out for all of you is this cheat sheet, which was super helpful. It's one of the links in the communication doc that was the main link, my master's link in the email that came out on Monday. This gives you all the specifics that you need during each part of the test, including what we will end up doing with the pre-administration, the specific fields that you will need to use, whether or not we have labels. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that that was there. Thank you again so much for your help on Wednesday. Please don't hesitate to let Allison or Suzanne or me know if you have any questions. All right, thank you so much.